The Republic of Dagestan is situated in the southernmost part of Russia. It's often called the gateway to the Caucasus. On one side, the Caspian Sea. On the other, a mountain range, forming a narrow passageway. For many centuries, it served as a bridge connecting Europe and Asia. Most of Dagestan is mountainous. It's a small territory of 50,000 square kilometers, but it's home to 102 nationalities, 30 of them indigenous to the region. Magomed Daitov and his big family come from the village of Rakhata, high up in the mountains. Every day, they make burkas, woolen overcoats of traditional design. They're an essential part of everyday Dagestani clothing. Burkas are completely handmade. Its history stretches back more than 500 years. They're also made entirely from wool. To make one, craftsmen first comb the wool to soften and clean it. Then they use this special device that looks like an ancient warrior's bow to fluff it up until it looks like cotton candy.
A woman must make one burqa every day.
They put the fluffy wool on a canvas and dampen it with water. They roll up the canvas, put it on a table, and roll the canvas back and forth at the same time.
The longer you roll the burqa, the thicker it gets.
They take the thickened wool and cut off the edges with scissors to give it the proper shape. Then they wet it again and roll it. The wool is treated with metal combs to take out extra material. Here in Rakhata, burqa production is considered women's work. During World War II, local women produced thousands of burqas for Soviet cavalrymen.
This burqa is ready.
Burqas are either black or white. Black ones are more popular with customers. That's why they dye some white ones. The dyed burqas are taken to the river to rinse out the excess dye. Then they're dried. Finally, the burqas are sprinkled with glue and combed again to prevent them from matting up. When it rains, the water won't be able to penetrate them, and if the rain is followed by cold weather, a dry burqa will protect its owner from the cold.
Once upon a time, two shepherds decided to stay overnight in the mountains. First it rained, and then the temperature dropped. The shepherd in a burqa survived, while the other one, who was wearing a sheepskin coat, died.
There were occasions when a burqa would keep its owner safe not only from the cold, but also from an enemy's dagger, or even a bullet. But despite many advantages, if one is new to the area, the burqa can seem like a very awkward piece of outerwear. It lacks both sleeves and buttons. They still remember the day when Fidel Castro received a burqa for a present.
When Fidel Castro put it on, he wondered where the buttons were. He was told that none were needed. But he asked, how can you do without them? This is a partisan burqa. During a battle, you throw it off and fight with your dagger. Hearing that, Fidel Castro started to laugh and said that indeed the burqa was a partisan overcoat.
Today, people buy burqas mostly as gifts. Only shepherds and traditional Dagestani dancers wear them as an essential part of their outerwear. The story behind this dance is simple. A girl from the village of Andi makes a burqa for her loved one to keep him warm and to protect him from the enemy's dagger and bullets. The dancers from the Youth of Dagestan ensemble perform this piece in a very expressive manner, characteristic of Dagestani dances. All the different kinds of Caucasian dances are united under the name lezginka.
When people see our performance for the first time, they're very surprised. They wonder where the group comes from. They ask about our country. We say we're from Dagestan. Then they want to correct us. Pakistan? We say no, Dagestan. Then they say, what's that? We explain that our land is part of the Russian Federation. We are part of Russia.
The North Caucasus is well known for lezginka dancing. and Dagestani dancers are considered to be the best performers. To tell the story of the Dagestani people in their dance, the performers in the Youth of Dagestan group have to make different national costumes, often using historical materials. Alongside the burqa, another essential part of a Dagestani costume is a dagger. It's a reminder of the many wars that plagued Dagestan throughout its long history. One of the most inaccessible places in Dagestan for many centuries was the Narin Kala fortress in Derbent, on the shore of the Caspian Sea. Renat Zurabov is a recent university graduate. He's a historian, and he likes to work here since Derbent is more than 5,000 years old.
Right here there were special bars that could fall down, creating a trap. If a smaller armed detachment broke in, upon coming to this gate, they would be trapped.
The fortified walls of Narin Kala have witnessed many things. During its 2,000-year history, it repulsed the ancient armies of the Huns, Khazars, Persians, Romans, Arabs, and Mongols. On one side of the fortress, the wall stretched 500 meters into the Caspian Sea. On the other, they stretched 100 kilometers into the mountains. It was as if a huge stone serpent crawled down the mountain and into the sea, and inside of its thick walls, life continued.
A group of the local aristocracy would meet in the old part of Derbent. They would plot against the ruler of the city. So he decided to fortify the north and south flanks. They were supposed to protect the fortress from the direction of the city, meaning fighting off internal enemies, not external ones. Legend also had it that the Derbent ruler could throw one of his unfaithful wives down the wall. Yes, such was the legend.
Narrow streets paved with stone are a reminder of the feudal East. They look the same today as they did centuries ago. An ancient cemetery holds not only Muslim tombs, but also gravestones for Jews and Christians. People of many faiths mingled in this very small territory.
Before the 7th century, when Arabs came here, Christianity was the main religion. These doors belonged to a Christian church. These knockers announced visitors. When a man came, he would knock at the gate to call for attention. And when women came, they used a smaller knocker.
After Derbent was overtaken by the Arabs, Islam started to spread in Dagestan, but some of the people remained pagan. In the mountain village of Khustil, people worship a stone cave that legends say could bellow like a cow.
It's not a legend. I heard it with my own ears how it bellows. Pious people said the mountain was asking for an offering, and people would bring gifts and give them away to the poor.
People regularly bring presents to the bellowing cave. Mostly, they pray for the recovery of a relative or friend. Sometimes they bring hand-woven carpets. Most locals can determine, just by looking at the interior, that this cave is in southern Dagestan, which is a center of carpet weaving. Abdurrahman Osmanov is a member of the Artists' Union of Russia. He receives orders for carpet portraits. They're very popular in Dagestan, as well as abroad.
We have made different carpet portraits, many portraits of famous people from Russia, like Patriarch Alexei II and Vladimir Putin. One of our Putin portraits in Saratov's museum was stolen. People do not steal works of poor quality, so it means that the carpet was of high artistic value.
Carpets used to be woven on this hand-built loom. They all start with a technical drawing, detailing the width and the patterns. What's more important in a carpet is its density. The thicker the tufts, the better the carpet. A perfect carpet must have 250 tufts per square centimeter. It's still a mystery how illiterate carpet makers long ago could calculate the width, density, and pattern without missing a single tuft.
When a girl was born into a family, mothers taught them the craft of carpet making. Girls usually made one before they got married. And if it was beautiful, the girl would be considered more attractive.
It took as long as 1 month to weave slightly more than 1 square meter. This meant years of toil for brides from South Dagestan to make just one wedding carpet. Time flew with the sound of music. Girls used taut threads as musical instruments. These were often love songs. Dagestan is aptly named as the land of mountains. Mountains have different faces, and they influence these people in different ways. In South Dagestan, it's soft hills. In the east, austere cliffs. In the center, lofty and forbidding mountains. The village of Tsafkra in central Dagestan, 2,500 meters above sea level. Because of the high altitude, the air is so thin that it's difficult to move around. It's also an ordeal to get to the village, but not because of the air. The road is treacherous and in terrible condition. It must have been these factors that forced the locals